The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber had witnessed the surrender of 47 species over the past millennium. Each had knelt before the towering crystalline podium, their representatives trembling as they signed away their world's autonomy. The Zephyrians had wept, their luminescent tears pooling on the obsidian floor. The Korath had roared in futile defiance before accepting defeat. Even the proud Nexari had eventually bowed their crested heads in submission. Today, however, something unprecedented was occurring. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in the center of the vast chamber, her small human frame dwarfed by the hundreds of alien delegates that surrounded her in ascending tiers. The weight of 1,000 different gazes pressed down upon her. Compound. Eyes, thermal sensors, electromagnetic field detectors, and stranger sensory organs she couldn't even comprehend. Yet she remained perfectly still, her hands clasped behind her back, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "The human delegation will approach the podium," boomed High Counselor Zeth Prime, his voice resonating through translation matrices in dozens of languages. The 12-foot-tall crystalline being's form flickered with impatient energy patterns. Elena didn't move. "Human," Zeth Prime's voice carried a note of warning. "You have heard the terms. Your species has 7 rotations to surrender all military assets and submit to council oversight. Your response is required." The silence stretched. Several delegates shifted uneasily in their seats. The Methalux representative's breathing apparatus wheezed nervously. Even the ever-composed Centaurian observer leaned forward slightly. Elena finally spoke, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. "I heard your terms. Then you will approach and—" "No." The single word hit the chamber like a physical force. Translator matrices sparked and recalibrated, unable to process the simple concept. In the Council's entire recorded history, no species had simply refused to participate in their own surrender ceremony. "Clarification required," stated Counselor Vex 9, her metallic voice sharp with confusion. "The human word no does not compute in this context." Elena's smile widened slightly. "It means we decline your generous offer." Chaos erupted. Delegates screeched, clicked, and vibrated in their native tongues. Emergency protocols activated as several species began stress molting on the spot. The hive mind representatives' collective consciousness briefly fragmented from shock. "Silence." Zeth Prime's bellow cut through the noise. Energy patterns within his crystalline form pulsed angry red. "Human, you misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. We have cataloged your military capabilities. 300 ships, basic kinetic weapons, primitive fusion technology. You possess no strategic resources we require. You are, by all measures, insignificant." "Probably," Elena agreed cheerfully. "Then why do you not surrender?" Elena turned, slowly, taking in the assembled might of the galactic community. Each delegate represented a civilization that had lasted millennia, possessing technologies that could reshape matter at the molecular level, weapons that could crack planets, collective intelligence that spanned star systems. "Because," she said, still smiling, "you asked nicely." The translation matrices failed entirely for a moment, producing nothing but static. Counselor Vex 9 was the first to recover. "Elaborate." "Well," Elena began, clasping her hands behind her back and beginning to pace, a gesture that made every security system in the chamber twitch to attention. "See, humans have this funny thing about being told what to do. Gets our backs up, you might say. And you've made this lovely presentation about how outgunned we are, how hopeless resistance would be, how much more advanced you all are." She paused, looking up at Zeth Prime's towering form. "But the thing is, every single one of you surrendered to this council eventually, which means that for all your advanced technology and superior intellects, when push came to shove, you calculated the odds and chose survival over freedom." "Rational decision-making," huffed the Korath delegate. "Survival of the species." "Oh, absolutely," Elena nodded. "Very sensible. Very logical, very predictable." She stopped pacing and faced the assembly directly. "But humans? We've got a bit of a reputation for doing incredibly stupid things when backed into corners. We've had members of our species charge machine, gun nests with pointy sticks. We've had people stand in front of tanks because they believed in something. We've had individuals volunteer for suicide missions just to prove a point. Illogical, stated the Centaurian observer. Completely, Elena agreed. And that's what you don't understand. You've built this entire galactic order on the assumption that intelligent species will behave rationally when faced with overwhelming force. You expect surrender because surrender makes sense. She started walking toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. Wait, Zeth Prime commanded. Where are you going? Elena didn't stop walking. Home, to tell my species what you've offered. She paused at the chamber's threshold and looked back over her shoulder. And then we're going to do something really, really stupid. Your ships will be destroyed, Vex 9 warned. Your worlds will be occupied. Probably, Elena called back, already moving down the corridor. But you know what? Every single one of those ships will have someone aboard who volunteered to be there. Every defense platform will be manned by people who chose to stay. And when your fleets arrive at Earth, they're going to find 6 billion humans who've decided that being free is more important than being smart. Her voice grew fainter as she disappeared around a corner, but her final words echoed clearly through the chamber. Good luck with that. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Council sat in absolute silence. In the minds of creatures who had mastered the physics of the universe, calculated the movement of galaxies, and predicted the behavior of entire civilizations, a terrible new variable had been introduced. The human variable, and it didn't make any sense at all.